This person started off their comments reasonably enough. They brought up that getting sterilized young has more risks of failure. Now, as far as I know, it's really only a risk, and a small one at that. And the risk is with tubal ligation, and if the procedure is done in the patient's early 20s, sometimes the tubes can essentially repair themselves. From what I've read, though, that doesn't just happen because the person is young. It happens because the person is young and the doctor did not properly cauterize the ends of the tubes. Or they use the rings or the clips, and there's a reason that those methods are not used very often, at least in the US. And yeah, tubals fail a lot. That's why I didn't get one. For anyone who is new here, I got a bilateral salpingectomy, aka I got my tubes completely removed. So aside from the weird chance of self-repairing, I don't think that any other form of sterilization is riskier just because a person is younger when they get it done. She continues, if you got sterilized at 18, by 27, 28, you're still very fertile. Yeah, we know. That's why we want to be sterilized. If we weren't fertile, we wouldn't need to be sterilized. She then says, doctors might not want to perform an invasive procedure when there are less invasive procedures with more effective long-term results. So here's the thing. The American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology says that doctors should avoid paternalism at all times. Paternalism in this context is basically the doctors telling the patient what the patient can and can't do with their own body, for no real reason. And before Kelly here brings up her main argument, that people want to force doctors into sterilizing anybody who wants it, that's not what we want. We don't want to force doctors to do stuff, especially because there are cases of doctors who don't want to sterilize somebody, putting the patient under, not doing the procedure, and then telling them that the procedure was done. Those doctors are literally putting their patients' lives at risk. But anyway, it's technically the law that if a doctor turns you down for sterilization, they're supposed to give you a referral to a doctor who will say yes. I should have gotten 2 referrals. I got 0. We just want doctors to follow the rules and give us a name of a doctor who will help us. That doesn't seem like a lot to ask. Kelly also brought up that there are less invasive, long-term birth control methods that doctors may prefer their patient use. Well, here's the thing, Kelly. Barring a legitimate medical reason, a doctor should not be able to tell me which form of birth control I can and can't use. As I've said in so many videos and so many interviews, I would have been fine using an IUD for the rest of my life, until I got pregnant while using one. And since I can't use hormonal birth control, I'm kind of out of long-term options. So should the doctor risk my life by making me have another IUD or use hormonal birth control? Or could they choose to do a procedure that involves less risks for me in the future? And are you trying to tell me that getting an IUD put in is not an invasive procedure? That hurt way more than my sterilization. Kelly then makes an odd comparison. Think, if I had a cancerous mole and asked to have my forearm removed, it would be unethical for a doctor to willingly remove an entire arm if a small removal of the mole is a more effective choice. Yes? Not necessarily. Since you said that the mole is cancerous, sometimes removing the forearm might be the best way to go if the cancer has spread or they think it may spread. That's not unheard of. But there are also way more reasons to keep your forearm. Having 2 hands is preferable to 1, and losing a forearm would make your life more difficult. The same cannot be said of having your fallopian tubes removed. If you don't want kids or you're done having kids, fallopian tubes are useless. And since you brought up cancer, did you know that getting your fallopian tubes removed actually lowers your risk of getting cancer? And whereas operating through life with 1 arm will be very difficult, getting sterilized does not make your life more difficult. In fact, not only does it make life easier, it makes it safer. Kelly keeps saying that the surgery is so invasive, and doctors can't be expected to grant someone's wish for something so invasive and dangerous. Kelly, do you know how invasive and dangerous being pregnant and giving birth is? If doctors truly wanted to avoid procedures that are super invasive, very dangerous, and can lead to death, they should avoid childbirth. There are no reported deaths from sterilization, but there are quite a lot from pregnancy and childbirth. And Kelly said that technically no one needs to be sterilized, so the procedure's kind of pointless. Well, no one needs to be pregnant either. There is no condition that is improved by being pregnant. And pregnancy can cause a lot of health issues, some of which never go away and eventually kill the person, and that wouldn't have happened had they not been pregnant. So why do doctors allow people to get pregnant if it's so dangerous? Could it be that they're allowing an adult to decide what to do with their own body, even if the doctor doesn't really agree with the safety of their decision? Like, even if a doctor tells a patient that they will die giving birth, they cannot force that patient to get an abortion. The patient can literally choose to die. And aside from economically, what benefit does birthing a new child have? You don't need to birth a child to raise a child. So, just like with sterilization, I think that until pregnancy and childbirth are safer, people who want to be parents should probably explore other long-term solutions. Just for their safety, like doctors shouldn't be forced to deliver babies that they are not comfortable delivering. To use similar wording from Kelly's example about the cancerous mole, think, if I want a kid and ask to put my life at risk to have one, it would be unethical for a doctor to willingly help me put my life at risk if being a godparent is a more effective choice. Yes?